What's something your parents told you that you later found out was a complete lie? My feet hurt every single day, and I thought that was just how shoes worked. My parents had explained to me when I was little that shoes came in exactly 5 sizes: toddler, child, teenager, adult woman, and adult man, which as a kid made total sense. They told me I was lucky because some countries only had 3 sizes, and everyone just had to make do with whatever was closest to fitting them properly. When my friend Liam invited me over to work on our biology project, I almost canceled because the walk to his house meant 40 minutes of that deep burning ache that started in my heels and shot up through my ankles with every step. I'd learned to walk on the outer edges of my feet to minimize the pressure, but a 40-minute walk meant I'd be feeling it for days afterwards. I wrapped my feet in extra socks like I always did, even though it made the shoes even tighter because the cushioning helped a little, and started walking. We had a presentation due Monday, and Liam was the only person who actually understood the material. Halfway there, I had to stop and pretend to check my phone while I shifted my weight back and forth, trying to get the numbness to go away, because when my feet went numb, that meant the real pain was coming soon. His house was normal looking from the outside, but when I got inside and took off my shoes, I noticed something weird about their front closet. There were like 20 pairs of shoes, all in different sizes, even though only 3 people lived there. The relief of getting my shoes off was so intense that I actually sighed out loud, and Liam's mom glanced at my socks, which were damp with sweat from the pain, and she got this strange look on her face, but just offered me some water. Liam must have seen me staring at all the shoes, because he laughed and said his mom had a shoe shopping problem. But I was looking at the boxes on the shelf, and each one had different numbers on them, like 7.5 and 9 and 10.5, which made no sense. When we got to his room, I kept flexing my feet, trying to get feeling back in my toes, and finally Liam asked if I was okay, and I mentioned stepping wrong during the walk over. He immediately asked what shoe size I wore because he had some old running shoes that might be more comfortable, and I told him teenager size, obviously. He looked at me like I'd grown a second head and said, "No, what number size are you?" That's when my whole world cracked open. Liam explained that shoes came in numbered sizes with half sizes in between, and everyone had a specific measurement for their feet, and you were supposed to wear the exact size that matched your foot length and width. He Googled something on his phone, and then grabbed a piece of paper from his printer and put it on the floor, telling me to stand on it with my heel against the wall, and when he looked at where my toe ended and checked the chart, his face went white. "Dude, you're a size 10.5, but those shoes you were wearing are like an 8 at most. How are you even walking?" I tried to explain that teenager size was just what you wore between child and adult, but he was already pulling boxes from his closet, and when he handed me a pair of size 11 sneakers and my feet slid in with room to spare and no pressure on any of my toes, I literally started crying right there in his bedroom. The absence of pain was so foreign that my brain couldn't process it, and I just stood there sobbing while Liam grabbed 2 more pairs, saying I could have them all because his mom was always telling him to clear out his closet anyway. Then he looked at me with a worried expression and said, "Your parents really never told you about shoe sizes?" And all I could do was shake my head, because if I opened my mouth I would have screamed. I took a few steps around his room, and for the first time in my life, my feet just touched the ground normally, without having to calculate which part would hurt less. Liam's mom drove me home because she insisted it was too late to walk. I saw Liam looking out the window at our house with its peeling paint and the broken mailbox, and I waited for him to say something about how we obviously couldn't afford proper shoes, but instead, he just said, "See you tomorrow for the presentation, and bring those old shoes because my mom wants to report them to someone," which made no sense, but I nodded anyway because I was too overwhelmed to ask questions. That night, I gave my little sister a pair of smaller shoes Liam had given me, and even though they were huge on her, she hugged me and whispered, "They don't hurt."